bridge collapsed. The mountain road washed out. All the signs are obscured by fog. Your only directions are detours. Eventually it dawns on you. Sometimes you need to get lost to discover where you're supposed to be. Welcome to Merlin's Barn.
Three, 19, 9, 4, 27, 3, 10, 45, 20, 21, 26, 35, 54, 40, 31, 11, 28.
Welcome to Merlin's Number Station. If you don't know what a number station is, that's another rabbit hole that you can dive down. I think they're still broadcasting, think Cold War, usually out of Russia, somewhat creepy, just a monotone voice.
I think Welcome to Night Vale.
Oh, yeah.
Had an arc with Faye. Faye was the number station.
There we go, yeah. Welcome to Night Vale. And if you've never listened to Welcome to Night Vale and you want a real thing, you want something to really screw with
How
your
are you
head,
even listening to a podcast if you haven't listened to Welcome to Night Vale? Honestly.
there we go.
I was going to say, your reading of the numbers reminded me, just real quick aside before we get to the meat of the episode. There's a U.S. embassy out there, and I've been to over 60 of them. I can't remember exactly which one it is. It has the most sultry elevator in the world.
Oh,
Interesting.
I don't know how they recorded this elevator's voice, but, floor is now a 2-syllable word from this elevator. So, 4th floor, 5th floor.
Oh no!
It's a little disconcerting. But enough about that. We've got an actual episode to go into.
But I have an elevator story to go with that.
Of
Oh, no.
course.
Oh, no. So possibly not as disconcerting as the talking elevators that we encountered in Disney World when I was 9 years old, which happened to be glass to just make it worse. And as we headed towards the floor, the elevator announced that it was broken and stopped in between floors. And then repeated to announce to us that it was broken as we stood there nervously, and then finally slowly raised to the floor above it and opened its doors, at which point we just scrambled to get out.
What kind of voice was it saying this in?
I don't remember. I was 9. I just remember we were not happy with the fact the elevator seemed sentient and very.
So was it in first person then?
Yes. I'm
Oh
pretty,
no!
pretty darn sure it was something along the lines of "I am broken," and then stop.
This elevator spent time with is it Melvin, the
robot,
the robot from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh God!
Oh no!
Where's Hal?
So, officially, welcome to Merlin's Barn, and we are picking up where we left off last episode, where we were talking about places that we find are like home to us, and we ended up with Matt talking about a wonderful place that he took us to in Chicago called Sideshow Gelato.
Yep, and I said picking up, pretending to pick right back up from where we were before. Nicole and I have been out to the shop a couple of times, but this time we're able to bring friends Tasha and Merlin, and also to bring my brother-in-law Jeff, who just has a great time at all these sorts of things. And he very much enjoyed it. He loves gelato, and he's just a happy, jolly guy. But that's other stories. It struck me that Merlin and Tasha both seemed quite enamored and quite comfortable with Sideshow Gelato. And so we talked a little bit on the ride home back on the airplane and all, but actually just have been excited to hear their take on this quirky fever dream of a store that's a carnival, sideshow, and ice cream shop in one in this neat neighborhood in Chicago. So, what was your impressions of the store? How did it make you feel like home? This is what I really want to hear. Like, I'm sitting in with the listeners on this one.
To give a description of Sideshow Gelato, first off, it reminds me a little bit of walking into my sister's house. To describe that, I have 4 nephews. My sister has embraced the chaos of having 4 little boys. And she used to have, above the bathtub in one of her prior houses, there was just a definition, and it said boys. And then it said, for the definition, it said a noise with dirt on it. Now she's moved forwards into collecting different circus memorabilia. So there are signs in the house that say "This way to the circus," old circus.
Yep. Oh, the poster.
Yeah, old circus posters, and then just her color scheme is just this wild gathering of almost circus-like colors in their brightness. And so, Sideshow Gelato, this is the neatest place. So, a small part of it is the fact that there's a gelato shop. The larger part of it is the bigger part of it is you feel like you're walking into an old circus sideshow tent in a way. I mean, there's immediately when you walk in the door, there's a counter to your left. There's a
Zoltar on the right.
Zoltar who will never shut up. What was the fortune you got from Zoltar?
Oh crap! It wasn't a fortune.
It's like our fortune cookies, another failure.
We'll read that in a future episode.
I'll look for that. It's probably in my backpack still.
So you walk in and you've got all of the wonderful garish circus colors. You've got Zoltar to your right, the counter to your left, all these amazing wild flavors of gelato. A stage all the way in the back left corner. It looks like it's straight out of an old sideshow with a bunch of saws on a rack for somebody's show.
That was fun.
And then then back towards the stage, part of the seating area is the what do you call them? The buckets?
So they're, I guess, cars from the Scrambler ride.
Is that a scrambler or a Ferris wheel?
I think they literally said Scrambler.
Okay, so
yes.
they're old scrambler ride cars set up so you can sit in them and have your gelato and watch the show. Tables with like, what are they, articles and photographs on top of them?
I think it was like collages of old weird horror/circus-esque movie posters mostly.
Yeah, and then you turn to your right and there's basically just a museum of the weird in there, where Jay's been collecting. And there's another stage in there. The Museum of the Weird has like things like the pants from the 9-foot-tall man and
There's a Fiji mermaid. I think there's Jackalope. He was cool.
they just got the Jackalope.
Yeah, the Jackalope was new. Yep, this is the Museum of the Transmundane.
Yes.
And my favorite one, is it Cottage Field? The fairies from the early 1900s or late 1800s, when they were faking the fairy photos.
Okay, yeah, I remember that was up towards the door.
To kind of bring it back into like, oh no, it's real. It was essentially a mummified fairy, is what they have.
That was creepy. I was staring
I thought
at
that was so cool.
And so when we wander in, I think we booked. We like Matt had booked a few shows that we were going to be going to. We knew there were things going on at Sideshow Gelato. I had seen like a week before or something like that. I looked it up and seen that the Enigma would be there. One of my favorite TV shows ever was The X-Files. And one of my favorite episodes of The X-Files was called Humbug. And it was entirely centered around murders in a sideshow. And one of the characters in that, who never spoke, I think he spoke twice and burped, was the Enigma. And so I saw that the Enigma was going to be here. And so I probably looked like an idiot because I just sort of peered into the room and there he is in all of his blue puzzle piece glory, sitting there with a couple of the other sideshow performers at a table. And I didn't know what to do. I sort of walked in and wandered out because I was like, I really want to say hi to him, but just also in just ridiculously starstruck wow mode.
Look, it was smoother than when I met Frank Iero, so I give you props for that.
You can tell a Frank Iero story.
Oh, good lord. All right. So I am the emo child, dear God. Okay, so in high school, after my Ken had broke up in 2013, a couple years later, for my birthday, I got to go see Frank Iero, but then he got hit by a bus. So months and months later, after recovery from the bus, we finally get to go see him on the Parachutes tour, and we got like the fancy VIP ticket, so we got to go and see like have a little acoustic show beforehand, have him sign a vinyl, and take pictures with him. And so I'm here. I've got this painting I've made for him in my hands. My friends go up, give him a hug. One takes a selfie, and they're smooth. They're doing great. I forget how to operate as a human being, and my brain reverts to when you meet someone new, you shake their hand, right? Like that's the polite thing to do.
Yes.
Except he's holding a pen in the hand that I'm supposed to go shake, right? So this is becoming an issue, and so I'm trying to process that. So I reach out with the hand that I'm supposed to shake with, and then the pen's in that hand, so I go and reach to the other hand that does not have anything in it, and just kind of like tap his hand awkwardly. That was, oh boy.
I'm sure he is hyper focused on that and remembered that since that moment.
It's been burned in my brain for years. But I gave him my painting. He was very sweet. I did get a hug. And then he gave my mom, like, the biggest hug ever. It was cute.
Uh-huh.
But it's like, I go and have the most awkward moment with the man that is the reason I play guitar. And then my mom gets, like, the biggest hug. Like, aw, thanks for bringing the kids out to the show.
I think you did much better with the Enigma than I did, at least initially. But I introduced myself.
Well, I didn't have as much context, I think.
Yeah,
and so I'm
yeah.
just
For
like,
me, I'm
oh,
just
cool,
like,
blue guy.
I'm just like, oh God, wow, too cool, too cool, too cool. So we got to, so we did get talking with him, and we all got photos. We all got photos with him. But the greatest thing,
He's so gentle.
yeah, he's just such a sweet and interesting fellow to talk with. And we need to watch that movie from. Yeah, at one point we're having
Magicians.
The Magicians, not the one that pops up first on Google. It's like from about 2000 or something. And we were discussing movies and topics like that, and then we're all on our phones trying to figure out this movie that he's talking about. It took us like layers of searching to find it. Then initially the phones came out because he wanted us to see. Tasha was wearing their uh, David Bowie shirt, and he had opened for David Bowie. Did he tell you anything about that?
So I think part of how that all happened, I was trying to not be an intrusive problem, so I was out in the other room. So Matt came and grabbed me.
Yep, I just invited you over, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do an introduction.
Yeah.
And then sit back and see what happens.
So Enigma saw my shirt, and I was like, oh hey, like David Bowie was like, yeah. He's like, I opened for him once. I'm like, yeah, I know. That was really cool. You got to do that. And it sounds like he might not have met him until a later show.
Oh well. Okay.
Like directly met him. But I think it had to have been the Earthlings tour that he did the opening on. But just being in front of like a huge crowd like that had to have been a phenomenal experience. And he said getting to meet Bowie himself was just lovely, which is only what I can imagine from Bowie. I think after that we ended up talking about The Man Who Fell to Earth movie and just the weirdness of.
So yeah, you two got into like a deep conversation about that movie.
Look, I've read the book, watched the movie, I've got the comic. Look, it's a whole thing. But we went to the weirdness that is 1970s movies in the underground vein.
And that's probably how we ended up leading up to like the Magicians and
yes.
things like that. So we met him, and I have to say, like throughout the weekend, we ended up hanging out with him. At one point, I think it was the following day, because that was at one point Tasha's playing the piano. We got to the point where we realized you can just walk into this place and do your thing. And so Tasha goes back and is playing the piano. The Enigma beelines over and hangs out with Tasha.
That was so sweet and unexpected. Like, that was so good.
He did a awesome show on Friday. Was it Friday?
So Friday was the full show.
Okay, so Friday night he did. Yeah, Friday night he did. We got to see his show, where he did his full show. which involves like the blockhead routine, involves
Being a grinder like 2 inches from his face, more like half an inch probably.
And cutting up an apple with a chainsaw, an apple in his mouth with a chainsaw while blindfolded, and
Lots of tubes.
Yeah, the tubes were disturbing, and his rambles, which are just absolutely fantastic. And then, while he's doing this, there's just the rest of the crowd sort of swirling, the rest of that crew there sort of swirling around doing their thing. Matt, you said that like everybody who is a server there also has their own sideshow thing.
Right. So some have pretty developed acts. Like you saw Saturday night, you saw some of Cassidy Rose that are sword swallowing, and Andrea, the magician there, and then others like Jessica. And talking to them, they're much newer to the shop. They started like only like in March.
Jessica is the jogging juggler.
Yes, and
Yes.
they're working on a blockhead routine also, and
she did her face paint to honor Enigma was awesome.
Yes.
That was cool.
Yeah, over the weekend she developed her face paint to the point where she had the full like jigsaw puzzle on her face. So it's neat. It's really cool just to see how everybody there bounces off of each other.
The amount of creativity swirling in that place, like I literally came out of there feeling so invigorated and wanting to get back to doing my art stuff.
And that was, I think it was it Friday where Jay just started doing an impromptu fire eating?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Saturday we were in and out of there, and they had some big show they were doing at, what was it, a barbecue thing?
It was like,
yes, on
like
Chicago
carnivore
suburbs,
carnival.
They went to do an event that was out in Chicago suburbs, about an hour and a half away. So a lot of the crew, a lot of the core crew, including Jay, were out for the day. But then there was a Saturday night show
That was
all
insane.
back for.
Because they were talking about, like, the Enigma was talking about on Friday night, you got to come back for the Saturday night show. We'll be tired, we'll be hammered. And that
was true.
Yeah, and that was, my God, that started, what, 10:30ish or something?
Yeah, we didn't get back till 2 in the morning.
Yeah, they just went act after act. I mean, you had you had magic acts, you had sword swallowing, you had do we have fire eating at that point, or was that earlier?
Yes, Ash.
Okay, yeah.
She was.
You had some burlesque. You had
burlesque fire eating.
That was good stuff.
Then you had the bed of nails. There was the.
She did the straight jacket.
Oh, I forgot about the timed straight jacket breakout. There was, let's see what parts of my body I can stick in a fan. We'll just stop there because it was the after-hour show. So
take what you will. Stapling money to people's boobs and butts. That was great.
That was.
Are we allowed to say that?
I
had Hot Todd.
We don't have to deal with
Baltimore.
the FCC on this, so
true.
we can say whatever we want, and it just depends on the audience as to whether they want to continue to pay their therapy bills after listening to us.
Well, you had Hot Todd, the Baltimore strongman.
Yeah, Hot Todd was hilarious because we're all sitting in the back, and he's starting to talk about the snow in Baltimore, and
we all have Baltimore connection, so.
And the putting the chairs out in the road once you've shoveled out a spot. And Matt and the rest of us are just snickering in the back.
There's four of us howling at these bits, and the rest of the audience is like, "What?
What's going on?" No, this is Baltimore and snow.
I appreciated the bridge comments.
Oh, jeez, what was his bridge comment?
Oh God! So Todd said something, and then one of the guys in the back's like, "Oh, Baltimore doesn't know how to build a bridge," or something like that.
Or shouldn't be allowed to watch their bridges or something.
It was something related to the Key Bridge collapse. At the time, it was quite funny.
There was a wonderful heckler in the back who just, I think, was part of the whole act. And so you had that where they just kept going until, 1:30 or something like that. Well, and I think the last act was the Enigma just doing his blowout. And then we just hung out afterwards with them.
That man used every last ounce of energy he had in that final show of the day.
He curled up and fell asleep on the stage towards the end. We're talking as they're packing things up, and he just sort of goes into a fetal position and just goes, "I'm just gonna sleep right here." And so, we hung out with everybody. Tasha was invited to a
butterfly pinning class.
at the insect asylum the following day.
It was wonderful. Cassidy, the sword swallower, her friend runs the insect asylum. And so when her friend invited me, Cassidy was like, who do I have to fight to make sure you get to go look at cool bugs? I'm just like, thank you.
Yeah, that's it. It just everybody just adopts it. It just adopted you when you walked in. So
I don't know why. I'm just here.
just a fun place with just the right type of people that just adopt you when you wander in. What was
That
the
was
thing?
a wonderful feeling.
What was the story, Matt? What was the story with that happened with the guy? What, he just wanted to use the bathroom, I think, and wandered in.
Okay, yes. So that would have been. Was that?
That happened Sunday.
That was Sunday. Yeah, it was Sunday. Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. It was Sunday. Oh, I know what it was. It was Sunday. So Jay was practicing. The proprietor and owner of the store. He's been learning from some of the performers there, some of the sideshow art. So he's actually been learning fire eating. So he's been practicing his fire eating, and he was trying to do a maneuver, jellyfish, and Cassidy was trying to school him and show him how to do the jellyfish maneuver. That's where you pull the fire wand down sharply, and then the flame basically float in the air for a moment.
Oh, that's cool.
And he's in the middle of doing this, and this tall gentleman comes in, just gets about 5-6 feet into the door and just stops and looks around because Jay's in the back doing fire eating. You got the Enigma just standing there and
Being blue.
Yes, just being blue, and it's like, what did I just walk into? I was just hoping I could use the bathroom.
Chaos. Beautiful.
To which like
chaos.
Enigma like walks over and like to him is like, here, just right this way, I'll show you where the bathroom is, and just like leads him past like the fire eating to like the bathroom in the back. He then came back out and sampled all 16, I think it is, gelato flavors that are out at any time, and then before finally picking one to get some of.
Oh, I thought that he sampled all of them like on a whim.
Yes, he's like he could not decide. He had to go through them all to figure out which one to go for.
And this was a guy who literally was just looking for a bathroom.
Yeah.
I think this ties into the detour theme of the show. Of, like, in this case, he was just looking for a bathroom and walked into
bathroom trick that'll stick with you for a while.
Yeah, he just walked into a world.
Yeah.
And this is a key thing with this place is it's a world. There's an entire happy world just bouncing around in there where everybody is just doing their thing. And then as we got sucked into like the insect asylum on Sunday, and things like that, it just branches out throughout the community.
I think that's kind of a core thing, coming back to the theme of places feeling like home, is that they have their own little oddly contained world. Like, you know you're going to go here, and it's completely separate from the outside world, and you can just do and be who and what you are in a separate area, and you are safe, and that's why it feels like home.
Yeah, I think that's I think you've just summed up the theme of 2 episodes perfectly.
Thank you.
In fact, that may be a good stopping point.
Yeah.
I think so. I think that I think since and actually we're on good timing, and we dragged on forever last time. But if you get anything out of this, and you're in Chicago, for the love of all that is good and holy, go to Sideshow Gelato.
It's in Lincoln Square.
Yes, Lincoln Square, which, by the way, has just wonderful shops of its own and everything. It's a beautiful little area to explore. Great restaurants. And go there. They have shows they do throughout the year. When's the big sword swallowing thing, Matt?
That's going to be International Sword Swallowers Day is the last Saturday in February. So that's going to be the 22nd of February this year.
It sounded like they were getting ready to have like a weekly or bi-weekly like horror movie night type deal.
Yes, I think it's every Thursday night is a horror movie showing.
Yeah, if you want to go out and hang with a really cool group of people and watch some B-grade horror movies and stuff like that, which are absolutely worth watching, and have some absolutely amazing gelato. this you need to do that. So so if you're out there, this is another place that feels like home that we can recommend to you.
Absolutely.
And with that, I think we'll wind this down. So I think we've shown once again you need to take those detours. Got to go to the bathroom. Go into the weird place. Find out what's going on in there. Meet the blue guy. See the fire eater. Look at the bathrooms that have like literally every symbol they can come up with on the door because they're not just going to deal with male, female, etc. Then there's the one bathroom with the giant man-eating chicken poster inside of it. That's wonderful.
They need bathrooms too.
What's that?
The man-eating chicken needs bathrooms too.
Everybody needs bathrooms. So take those detours, and once again, if something we have said has reminded you of somebody that you met, some amazing place that you went that you think that everybody should go and find out about and experience, please get a hold of us. You can find us on Instagram at Merlin's Barn. You can also email us if you've got a story or pictures or anything like that. Send them to merlinsbarn@gmail.com. That's merlinsbarn@gmail.com. And we will talk to you soon. You're all wonderful. Thank you so much for listening. Bye now.
Bye.
Toodles.
Bye.
And Sunday afternoon, Jeff, Nicole, and we returned back to the shop while you guys were out stabbing butterflies or whatever it was you were doing at the insect asylum.
Stabbing around the edges of butterflies.
You don't stab the wings because that'll cause it to deteriorate.
Okay, I got you. All right. And I was I think Jeff and Nicole were getting their gelato still or something, and I was in the Museum of the Transmundane on that side of the shop, and I was looking at the jackalope we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I was just kind of looking at the jackalope, and Enigma comes up beside me. He's looking at it with me, and he goes, "They picked the most beautiful color eyes for that, didn't they?" And I'm looking, it's like, yeah, I guess they did, didn't they? You see, he had his beautiful green eyes for the jackalope. They really go well with those pink ears.